Hello and welcome to SantaPod and the first round of the 2010 FIA European Drag Racing Championship.
Yes. But don't forget, Abby, it's also the second round of the UEM Drag Bike Championship for 2010.
That's absolutely right, but in this particular programme, we are featuring the Super Twin bikes.
Pro Stock bikes.
And the Pro Stock cars.
But also the kings of the sport, the top Fuel Dragsters, those cars with 8,000 horsepower under their right foot.
Now, the weather's on our side, even if it is a little bit windy, so it promises to be a great weekend. And now it's time for the fastest cars on the planet, the awesome Top Fuel Dragsters.
It's interesting, here we are standing in the fire-up road, and it's like turning the clock back, because here is previous champion Urs Urbacher. You've been out in America, Urs. How did you get on?
Yeah, we're really good, and we do it really good in America. We always qualified and we win one round, so that's pretty good over there. There's a lot of cars and the competition is really tough, and it's busy over there, but I like it here too. So I'm back here in Europe, in England. I love the weather over here. I bring the weather with me from the States, you know. That's why we have sunshine today. It's a dream for everybody to go over there to run with the big boys over there, but I think the guys here are also big boys and they're also fast, and it's a really good competition here. You see the American when they try to come over here and they don't don't do it good like we do it, and yeah, I'm happy to be back.
Well, it really is great to see Urs Urbacher back for 2010. I'm Daryl Bradford, introducing you to the FIA Championship for Top Fuel this year. Now, in qualifying, the times were fantastic. Urs Urbacher was number one with a 475 at 319 miles an hour, but he gets a bye run in the first round, John.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks, Daryl. Back we go onto the track, and this weekend has been a real problem, let me tell you, for the crew chiefs. It has been cold, sometimes it's been wet, and today it's very, very windy, let me tell you. So all of these factors have to be taken into account. Now, Urs Urbacher no longer has an American crew chief, and Robin, who's been with him for a good time now, has taken over. Here's Robin as we guiding Urs back onto the rubber strips he's just put down. Robin has taken over the control of the car as crew chief, and we're just about to see how he's going to do in qualifying. Of course, number one qualifier.
Yeah, indeed. And the first leg of a European record at 319 miles an hour was the speed for the big man from Switzerland. So, moving into stage, the whole idea of that is to get him exactly set on the start line. Takes the green light, but massive tyre shake. That must have really hurt, John.
Well, it does, doesn't it? That shaking of the car where the back tyres are gripping and then not gripping really can rattle someone's brain around inside that cockpit. But from one previous champion, Urs Urbacher, let's go into the pits with Abby and talk to the man who's been the champion for the last 2 years, Andy Carter.
So Andy, you had a great year last year. Give us a general summary of how 2009 was for you.
2009 was just a dream year, really. We qualified number one at every event, I think, and we won 4 of the 5 events, so it was a fantastic year for us.
And what have you been doing during the off-season? Have you made any changes to the car?
Off-season was normal maintenance, take the whole car apart, put it back together, make sure everything's right, send all the stuff off to America for recertification. We've got 2 new engines, and yeah, the car's all ready for this season.
It's all ready, but your team is working frantically behind you.
Yeah, well, this is normal maintenance. So we've just done a first qualifier of the weekend due to rain yesterday, and you know, the whole car's got to come apart now and be put back together to make sure it's right and ready to go for Q2.
So after 2009, you must be feeling really confident. Ideally, I'm sure you want to win this year, but what is your overall intention?
The intention is to qualify well at every event, if not number one at every event, and win every event.
And what do you think about the competition this year? Will it pose a threat that Urs Urbacher is back in?
There's always a threat. Everyone at this level is a threat. But you can't take anyone for granted, and I don't take anyone for granted. I would like to stamp my authority and do the best I can every time.
Well, here we go then. Andy Carter, first round, coming up against the man from Finland, the flying Finn, Risto Putiainen. bad to the bone, he likes to be called. The Lucas Oil sponsored car of Andy Carter certainly wasn't the number one qualifier here this weekend.
Well, he was shockingly for everybody else. He was number 7 in the qualifying order. The Anderson boys normally absolutely flawless with the Lucas car. Unfortunately, this weekend for them really couldn't get a hold of it in qualifying. Risto, on the other hand, ran a great personal best for him, 4.80, and he clicked off early on that run as well. So his tuner and car owner, the man you see there by the engine, Runefjeld, really get the hang of it this weekend. This is the sort of matchup, John, you normally expect to see in the final round.
Yeah, indeed. And there were 3 seconds between these two on their qualifying runs. But of course, Risto hasn't ever been a champion. Andy has been champion many times. So really, the form book goes in favour of the man in the Lucas Oil's car here.
Well, indeed it does, but Risto raced Andy a number of times last year, didn't actually get to beat him at all. He did finish number 2 in the points, so he desperately wants to take that crown and wants to take the win over Andy this time. It's a brand new car for Risto. They only debuted it on their first qualifying pass this weekend, so if nothing else, this should be one hell of a race.
Well, here we go, up to the start line then with these two giants of the sport. And nearest the camera, Risto Putiainen, furthest away, Andy Carter. Now start line reactions at this level, always telltale, and it was Andy Carter who got away first, but then Risto lays down another amazing run, 4.88, 319 miles per hour. Great run.
It certainly was indeed, and shock of the day so far, Andy Carter out in round 1. Well, that's definitely going to hurt.
Andy, talk me through the run.
I think I was out first on Risto, and then I hit Big Shake, and a shake that I couldn't drive through. Big Shake come from nowhere, pedalled, and then I lost the blower belt.
It's a bit of a problem with the clutch all weekend, I'm told.
We've been struggling with a clutch issue all weekend, John, yeah, but, you know, it shouldn't happen. We should be further ahead than this going into the first race. But it does, and if anyone can sort it out, and Per and Carsten will, and it's Finland next where we're going to get them back.
Your favourite track, isn't it?
Yeah, won there 4 times, and hopefully Risto will go out the next round, and a few others will go out, the big hitters will go out, and we'll chase them down in Finland.
Well, Andy Carter's got the rest of the season to catch him up, but just for now, it's Risto's moment.
Risto, you are one happy man. Tell us why.
Well, first of all, I beat Andy. Then I made a Finnish record and top speed record too.
Not bad in just one run.
yeah. Can't wait the next round.
Yeah, what are you going to hope to achieve this weekend?
Victory, of course. That's and I have achieved this over 500 kilometers an hour now, just this pass, and just look for the winning the event.
Well, another Finn out here at SantaPod Raceway. This is Jari Halonen. Now, Jari has been recently out in Hungary doing demonstration runs over there at the UEM event. Went down an absolute storm, but this is racing proper this weekend up against Miki Kulgerad from Sweden in round 1. Not too much between them on their qualifying times, John.
No, indeed. Just coming back to Hungary, of course, Jari really did set the track alight, put in a 5-second run out there against all the odds, and everybody was very much in awe of him. But up against, as you say, Miki. Miki is the man for me who always should have been a champion. But away we go. Miki Kulgerad just gets away first and takes the win. Wow, that was so close, a 5.78 to a losing 5.97.
Well, it actually looks like they both lost power around about the same time. You can see the blower belt on Jari's car dangling around that big wing, and it looked like the same kind of problem for Miki. So a coasting race, but he'll take it all the same. He's into the semi-final.
Well, you know, in Top Fuel, it's an equal opportunities commission, and the girls do just as well as the guys. So our next pair puts the lady from Finland, that's Anita Michaela, up against Stig Niergaard, and Stig hails from Denmark. Now this is going to be interesting. The last time I saw Stig here, he was losing a wheel and flying along on the belly of the race car, and that was in 2009. But this year, he's the number 3 qualifier here with a 4.85. But Anita, lots of experience with that lady from Finland. She was about a second slower than him.
Yeah, that was due to an early click-off run. The second run was massive tyre shake from the lady from Finland. This should be very interesting indeed. Stig has got really big hopes for this year. Both away from the line together, lots of pedalling going on. Stig on and off the throttle, and Anita up in flames. Looks like something in the fuel line split there. She gets there again. Another one of those coasting races, John.
Well, extraordinary stuff. Let's just watch this again. I always like to say this. You can see the power and the fury of a top fuel explosion. That was just like a grenade going off.
Well, Anita, I'm sure, is absolutely fine. Let's hear from her.
Now, it's lovely to see you back in the winner's circle again. Just tell me about the run.
I got a shake, but then I saw that Stig was having problems, and I tried to backpedal it, and I did, but then it exploded. But I guess I beat him.
Don't you just love that? I pedalled it and it just exploded. One of those things. Get out the car, carry on. Anita Michaela is going to be going up against Risto Puutiainen in an all-finished tussle in the semi-finals. But first off, John, we've got Urs Erbacher against Michael Kagerad. Switzerland against Sweden.
Yeah, indeed. And Michael Kagerad in the Barco Express would really love to win this. To take out the 2007 champion would be something really special for him. Of course, Mickey was our number 4 qualifier, but Urs, of course, number 1 qualifier here this weekend.
Well, so far it's been all Urs, but let's see what Mickey can do. Both the way together. What a great race that's going to be. Oh no, problems for Mickey. Comes off the throttle. Urs clicks it a little early, but still runs 4:78. What a great time. Only 278 miles an hour. Mickey with some problems, and that bit him early on in the run.
Urs, what an amazing return to European drag racing.
Yeah, it's really great. It was a really bad tire shake. I didn't see anything. I need to put out my chutes really early, I think about 20-30 meters before the finish line. That's why we don't have a good speed. So if we can go through that, we run easier 460 something. So we are really happy.
Well, not only is Urs looking for the event win, he wants 460s and the speed record as well. Oh, and number 1 qualifier. How cool is it to have him back in European drag racing?
Absolutely fantastic. I tell you what, everybody else must be really aware now that he's back, the big guy. The reason that he's come back, of course, is to just really assert himself as the champion again in 2010. But having been out in the States, I'm just so surprised that somebody out there didn't take him. He's got a lot of charisma. He's a big guy, weightlifter, of course, and really what he presents to the public is a very iconic type of person. But anyway, our second of our semi-finals, it's the Flying Finns against one another, the battle of the sexes. Risto Puutiainen against Anita Michaela, and of course Risto doing so well here this weekend. He was our number 2 qualifier, but it does look as though Anita's got problems.
Yeah, sadly for Anita, some sort of fluid leak on the line. Risto blasts it off the line, but tyre shake, and he clicks it off because he knows he's going into the final. So what he really wanted to do, which was win the event, looks like he's got a stab at doing that against Urs in the final. That's going to be one hell of a race, actually, John.
Yeah, indeed it will, but here it is. Confirms what we just said. The final, first round of the FIA Championship, Urs Erbacher against Risto Puutiainen. Switzerland against Finland promises to be, as you've just said, an absolutely stonking final. Remember, these were our numbers 1 and 2 qualifiers, and on their qualifying runs, just 0.05 of a second between them.
Well, indeed, and both of them have been 319 miles an hour on this drag strip this weekend. Urs has done it in virtually both lanes. Risto's done it in the right-hand lane, so it's going to be a great race. Now, I know that Risto desperately wants the championship. The Finnish people are very, very proud, and they so want to have an FIA European champion from that nation. But Urs is going to do everything he possibly can to stop Risto doing that. Robin the Tuner this weekend been doing a fantastic job. Runefjeld making the car go really quick and really fast.
Here we come then, up to the start line. This for the major points here in round number 1 of the main event, SantaPod Raceway 2010. Who is going to go into the lead in the championship? Right up to the start line, fully into stage. And as that light turns green, these guys are going to be away.
And it is Urs off the line first. Risto with big time shake in the left-hand lane. Urs takes it backs up a new European record of 314 miles an hour on that winning 478 run. He's going to be the happiest man in the whole of England today.
What a great weekend. First time back in Europe and you win the event.
That's right. That's really great. And we make a double win. Lawrence win first and I win. And first time without American crew chief. We do it alone, Ron and me. We are really happy that we can do it. Now we show we are back in Europe and we are the king of Euro. Is not here anymore. The king of Nitro is back.
Well, the Kings of Nitro indeed this weekend. Erzurbacher's team from Switzerland. Risto with a bit of shake and smoke, and Erzurbacher leaves with not only the points lead, but a new European speed record. It's great to have him back.
Lining up behind me is a mass of Pro Stock bikes because for the first time ever at SantaPod, we've got 16 bikes entered into Pro Stock.
Pro Stock Bike, another one of those very colourful classes. The machine's still looking very much like a road-going machine, and I tell you, the qualifying has been heavily contested here at SantaPod. It's the second round of the UEM 2010 Championship for Pro Stock Bikes, but that man, Ulf Erger, won in the first round in Hungary, now the number 2 qualifier here, behind Anders Abrahamsson from Sweden. So the qualifying was really, really good.
Well, it was really, really good indeed. This is a first round match-up, the round of 16. We actually had 15 bikes qualify this weekend. First up is Stavros Fraknos, one of the Vedek squad in the left-hand lane. He's going to be up against Karl-Heinz Welcome, a German visitor to SantaPod, and this class this weekend has got so much diversity, so many different nations, John. It's great to see them out there fighting it out at SantaPod.
Yeah, indeed. These were our numbers 8 and 9 qualifiers. Now, this looks really, really close. This is what I love about Pro Stock Bike, and it's Stavros, who doesn't get loads of money. He gets a great win. So well done to him. 7.47 to a lose-out, 7.64. It was a close race.
It was really close indeed. Again, that's what we do love about Pro Stock Bike. The other thing as well is it's a mix of Buells, i.e. V-twins, and bikes like this, inline 4-cylinder machines. This is going to be Gert-Jan Lesueur up against Richard Jip. Gert-Jan is from the Netherlands, Richard from the UK, and Gert-Jan, a great leave off the starting line. This bike is really 60-footed, as we call it, very well over the weekend. 7.38, nice win for him. Richard uses out with a 7.71.
Okay, next pair then puts another one of the Vedek squad. This is Kenneth Vick, runner-up in round number 1 in Hungary, up against Len Paget. Now, Lenny is one of the British contingent here in Pro Stock Bike. He was our number 12 qualifier, so he's got something to do here against Kenneth Vick.
Well, Kenneth Vick is a previous UEM champion in Pro Stock Bike. Lenny Paget not having his normal clockwork weekend with the bike from Southampton. Really been off pace, sadly. Oh, and Lenny pulls a red light, puts himself out automatically. It doesn't matter at all anyway. Kenneth Vick goes streaking past him. Look at that bike go. And a great 7.25, 181 mile an hour win. The crew very happy with that indeed.
Well done to him. And that's another Vedek rider through into the next round. Right now then, here we go. Last year's champion. This is Ulf Erger against the man from Hungary, Zoltan Toth. Now, Zoltan is also on a Buell. So you're going to hear that thunderous roar of these twin-cylinder machines. No whistle of the 4-cylinder machines. It's a real pleasure to hear this. Now, Ulf Erger was our number 1 qualifier, and he gets away first, a 0.15 to a 0.38 reaction time, and takes the win, 7.70 to a losing 7.98.
So Ulf, you came bounding over here, so it must have been a good race. Was it nice and slick for you?
Yeah, it was pretty good. We tried a new setup this morning, see what we can do. It was a little bit bad, so we should try something else to next round.
Okay, Martin, you didn't have the best time out the last time out, and everything seemed to go wrong with the bike. You've obviously got it working again.
Yeah, we've got it working again, but again, we've had a lot of issues going on. We're trying a new clutch deal and getting the new base into the new bike. It's been a bit of a tedious problem. We've had a camshaft snap and all sorts of things, but the boys worked real hard, and we've got down the track. to the end, which is good. So now we need to get some fast times in.
So that's obviously the general plan for the weekend. How can those fast plans happen though?
Well, with a bit of goodwill and good luck, it'll all come together, I'm sure.
And you need good luck on your side though, Martin, because you've had a fair amount of bad luck. It's time for the tables to be turned.
Well, you know, if I didn't have bad luck, I'd have no luck.
Well, that's true. So, okay, you need to go fast. You've made some changes to the bike. A massive class this year, and this is the biggest, well, the largest one we've ever had at SantaPod. How competitive do you think that will be?
I think it'll be very competitive because everybody's running within a couple of tenths of each other. So, you know, it's going to be an open championship right to the end, I'm sure. And people are going to see some fantastic racing.
I'll tell you what, Darryl, Martin knows he's got to do something here. He's up against the number 2 from the 2009 championship, Fredrik Fredlund. And during their qualifying, Fredrik was about 0.3 of a second quicker than Martin Bishop. And Martin's saying if he didn't have any luck, it would only be bad luck, or the other way around. But he really does need to pull something out here to get in front of this man.
He certainly does. Fredrik Fridlund, a really, really tough competitor. Got a new engine package for 2010, hoping it's going to produce big things. Oh, both away from the line together, and looks like Martin's way out in front, but Fredrik catches him, runs him down, and he takes the win. Look at that, 7:38 to 7:64.
Fredrik, first round of eliminations, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, we have been struggling all week, and we have a new engine from Pro Service. We have only managed to make one qualified round. Unfortunately, the second we broke on the line, but now we went 7:38, so we are on the mood.
Well, here we go. The two Brits now lining up against one another. The number 3 qualifier, Dave Beck, coming up against the number 14 qualifier, Martin Newbury. Now, of course, Dave has been many times British champion and really seeing if he can cut the mustard with the Europeans.
Well, he certainly did at the finals last year in September. He ran a fantastic 7:07, just gets there in front with a 7:42.
Looking really, really good.
Yeah, we're always glad of a win. It's new bike, new engine. We're just trying to get it all set up. We haven't had a lot of track time this season so far with the inclement weather we've had, but yeah, we're getting there, so we're happy.
Well, good. It's nice to see Dave back in competition again. Hasn't been too well of late, but suddenly everything seems to be coming together nicely. Right, now then, another member of the Vadex squad. This is Karl Ayran coming up against another man on a Buell. That's Jesper Thiel, and that's quite a famous Buell, isn't it, that one?
Well, indeed it is, John. It's the Buell that won the championship for Tom Tindan. Tom's actually been here helping Jesper Thiel this weekend. And, well, they both go away from the start line together. A quick hop and a skip for Karl Ayran, and that's all Jesper Thiel needs to streak out in front. Look at that, 7:38 to 7:67 for Karl Ayran, but it's Karl's first ever season in pro stock bike racing. He really is a new kid, very young guy in his early 20s as well, and it's great to see him out there.
Yeah, he's got quite a famous dad as well, who's the head man in the Vadex squad. But now then, another man who forms part of that same squad is this man, our number 1 qualifier here this weekend, Anders Abrahamsson. And really throwing down the gauntlet to everybody, 7.19, 180 miles an hour with a 0.8 reaction time as well.
He's going to be really, really tough to beat in 2010.
So Roger, what an amazing class this year in Pro Stock, 16 bikes in the field. What sort of future do you think that holds then for Pro Stock bikes?
I think it has a huge future. I mean, the comparison with the road bikes to the Pro Stock, that's the closest you can get and the extremest thing you can get on regular fuel.
And having that many in the field though, do you think that makes it all the more exciting for this particular class?
Yes, really. I mean, the competition is, we say, 3/4 tenths from the first to 16th qualifier. And if you see for the future, it's going to be even tighter. And there's people stepping up in performance and everything. That's why I brought on 4 bikes.
What is the main difference between a Pro Stock bike and a normal everyday street bike?
The bike is low. It doesn't have any suspension on it. On the road bike, you have a regular suspension. The suspension in these bikes is the tire. That's the closest you have to suspension in the rear. In the front, you have, of course, a ground clearance to think about, but you need to have about 30 mil of traveling, which is not very much. Since you carry on these bikes, you have a wheelie bar that helps the bike not to flip over. On a street bike, you have to balance that with the throttle. On these bikes, you go full throttle, and then the wheelie bar set and everything, that helps you not for flipping over.
How long would it take someone that has been riding on a road bike to be able to step up to a pro stock bike?
It can take anything from 10-15 passes to 150-200 passes. Everything depends how focused you are as a rider. That's the main clue. If you have, we had people running many years and never actually managed to do it proper. And we have people that, like Karl now, Karl has 10 passes on his bike and he's running 48. So he's number 5 so far, but he's extremely focused.
Great to hear all of that about Pro Stock Bike. We now move into the semi-finals of this class, and this promises to be very exciting. We have got this man, Gert Jan, coming up against Anders Abrahamsson. Now, both of these guys are running right down the bottom end of the 7-second bracket.
Well, one of them's on a Buell. That's the Ural bike closest to the camera. That's Gert Jan, and he's up against Anders Abrahamsson. Anders won the European finals last year. He's very quick on the tree, had a great bike all weekend. Gert Jan waiting to go into stage. There he nudges that last little bit in, and the lights go green, and Gert Jan gets a great reaction time and leave away from the start line. It looks like he's out in front of Anders Abrahamsson, and what a shock. He does indeed take the win. 7:29 on a whole shot to a 7:25.
Gert Jan, well done first of all.
Thank you very much.
Now, bit of controversy before you got into that semi-final, wasn't there?
Yeah, we have a blue line violation, but fortunately it was not true, so it was overruled. So now we took the whole shot and we won, and we did my personal best, 7-2.
Really? Oh, well, just massive congratulations. Let me tell you, you've got a hard final to fight.
I know, it's Urge, but I don't care. I want to lose from Urge because I'm in the final. Yeah!
Well, Gert Jan is very, very happy indeed to be in his first ever final, and you've got to be happy when you're running personal bests and get to the final two. This is the second semi-final. Ulf Erger from Sweden on that famous, fantastic championship winning Buell up against the previous championship Buell of Jasper Thiel.
Yeah, indeed. These two really have put a very, very close edge on this racing now, because they are showing the 4-cylinder bikes the way to the top end all the time. But Ulf Erger, to me, just seems unstoppable. I wonder whether Jesper on that ex-Tom Tyndale machine can take out last year's champion. Don't forget, Ulf Erger won in the first round in Hungary.
He certainly did, and a great performance. Looks like Jasper Thiel is actually out in front there. Can Ulf Erger run him down? Looks like the big horsepower of the bike line machine gets there, 7:14 to 7:19. That was an absolutely cracking race.
Yeah, it was indeed. Well done to Ulf Erger. You certainly see why he's a champion, can't you? So that sets up, Daryl, our final.
Two Buells, Gert Jan from the Netherlands up against Ulf Erger from Sweden. Isn't it great to see an international mix and all the different kinds of bikes in Pro Stock Bike? The thing about it this weekend has been the Suzukis and the Buells have both been down in the 7-1, so they're very, very even. Really does come down to who leaves the line first and who lets the clutch out first as well.
I've got to tell you, it reminds me a lot of circuit racing, because, of course, if you remember in Superbikes, World Superbike, it was always the 4-cylinder bikes that used to reign supreme, and then suddenly along came the Dukes, and suddenly the 4-cylinder bikes were fighting for their lives, and that's what's happening now in drag racing. It's the twins that are coming out on top quite often. Here we go then, up to the start line for these two. This is going to be a very exciting race. Start line reaction could be all important here.
Well, yeah, the man on Ural Buell, that's Gert Jan, won the semi-final on a whole shot, but Ulf Erger must feel really confident. He ran low ET of the event so far, 7.14 in the other semi. Just nudging into stage. There we go, both the way together. Reaction time advantage for Ulf Erger. That could spell the end for Gert Jan, and indeed it does. He takes win number 2 in the 2010 championship, 7:16 to 7:28.
Ulf, you were really looking forward to that final. It was two twin Buells against each other, but you came out on top.
Yeah, I told you last time we got into the top, but this was the first time with two Buells in the final. It was really fantastic.
Was it a good race? Was it competitive, or did you know that you just had the little edge?
I have the little edge, I know that. In the semi-final, I was a little bit closer to the secondary, but this was really good too.
Well, we've seen modern-day Top Fuel cars. Let's turn the clock back quite a few years now and introduce a man who's a star in that time, Dennis Priddle.
Dennis, what a great place to come and stand, right in the middle of these two beautiful dragsters.
Yes, it's nostalgia's always good. For a day, it's a very pleasant day out. It's nice to see and hear the fuel cars again. Brings back some memories.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because here we've got the quintessential early dragsters, the slingshot rails, the Allard car, the commuter car. Take me back to those days. How much did you think you were starting to change the world in Great Britain when you first started driving?
Never thought of it changing anything. I was lucky enough to go up to the drag festival in 1965 at Woodvale and see Buddy Cortini's run the first 200-mile-an-hour run in twilight, and I was hooked. It was difficult. The early days we ran, the first car we ran had a 500cc motorcycle engine, and we went on and then we progressed and through various wheeling and dealing. In '68 we ended up with a car with a Keith Black 426 when we started racing against commuter. And of course Clive at the same time. I don't think any of us really thought about, the effect we were going to have on the sport. We were having fun. It was hard work.
It might look like a car to pop down to the supermarket in, but it's so much more. Producing well in excess of 1,000 horsepower. Next up, our post-stock cars.
I've always loved Pro Stock car. These cars look as though you can just drive them straight out onto the street, but of course they're not. They're highly tuned, highly modified cars. And this weekend, the man who's come out on top of the qualifying is Michael Malmgren. He gets a bye into the semi-finals, and we picked this up at our first pair, which is Richard Somblum against Jan Palmqvist, and Richard has got a new car for this season.
Well, it's a big surprise because the car itself is almost identical to the one from the year before. Now, he did very well with that car. He was the only man in 2009 to beat Jimmy Orland in open competition, which was quite an amazing feat last year. Anyway, both away from the line together. They qualified very, very close indeed. Looks like Jan Palmqvist got some sort of engine trouble. Big smoke out the back of the car. You don't often see that with a Pro Stocker, but 701 takes the win for Richard Somblum.
Tell me a little bit about the run, Richard.
Well, it was not the perfect run for us. We struggled with the carburetor, so it's a little bit difficult to run, but it's a fast one though.
You won, which is the main thing.
Yeah, it was. It was my luck this time, but it should go real much faster.
So tell me, have you got an idea of what you're going to do when you get back in the pits?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do, but I'm not telling you, otherwise I'd have to shoot you. Richard Somblum still confident, even though the car only ran a 7:01, but he's in the semis. That's the most important thing. The next pair up, John.
Yeah, it's Mickey Kalin. Mickey Kalin with his Pontiac GTO coming up against Tommy Lindahl. Now, Tommy must be the man with the biggest height advantage over everybody. He's got to be at least 6'8" tall, squashed into that tiger skin car.
Well, the really funny thing that we didn't mention was Richard Somblum's car was owned by a basketball player. So Tom Hammonds is huge. Richard Somblum isn't, whereas Tommy Lanedahl's car, much shorter indeed. Anyway, both into stage, looking for that advantage off the starting line, and Tommy Lanedahl pulls already, goes too soon, so it's going to be all Michael Kalin. Takes the win with a real nice number as well, a 6.80, moving through into the semi-finals. Tommy Lanedahl knocked himself with that red.
Mickey Kalin, now you've won, which is very happy for you. Just tell me a little bit about the run.
Yes, we had big problem yesterday about the clutch, and we sorted out, and I think I made a good run. as a driver too. So I'm very pleased to get a win like this time. It's the second in my career in Pro Stock, so I'm very pleased.
Yeah, very pleased indeed for Michael Killeen. That's his only second ever round win in FIA Pro Stock. The next pair, oh, what a shame already. Harold Stern from Germany being pushed back with his Mercedes. Unfortunately, a bit of a leak on the start line there.
Yeah, it is. It's a great shame because this has got to be the way forward in Europe, is to bring some of the modern European coupes into Pro Stock racing. So it's Lord Dante himself, Jonas Dantanis, just put in a run, 7.93, cruising at the top end, 131 miles per hour. I'm looking around the unit here and looking at the car. It all looks absolutely apple pie. What's your thoughts on 2010, Mike?
As always, high thoughts, and we definitely have some good stuff going. Have a very good crew, and the La Hega Oakley supported car seems to work very well. And I think we've done our homework over the winter, to be honest. So I'm very optimistic about this year.
And the car, what have you done to it over the winter?
We worked on the chassis, no major things, but small things that we found, and we went through the whole car from the back to the front. Jerry Bickle did some work with my shocks, and obviously Bob Ingles has worked on the motor together with Carl Falls, our CFE heads, that tweaked everything a little bit. So the latest, greatest parts in the motor, get some more power, but basically we worked on the tuning on the car, which is where we sacrificed mostly last year. We had the power, but we didn't have the tuning package correctly. And it seems like we solved that problem. We tested here yesterday or the day before, and we smoked the clutch big time, couple runs, which we never had experienced before. So I knew that we found a problem with the chassis, that the chassis not actually taking a lot of bite. So it's looking pretty good.
Well, Michael Malmgren confident as ever, and by virtue of his #1 qualifying position, he was way out there with a 6.77 at 204 miles an hour. Now, what we have to say this year, John, is we are missing our defending European champion, multi-time champion as well. That's the man from Sweden, Jimmy Orland. Now, Jim's been out running in the States. He will be back in the year, but, missed so far this season.
Well, yeah, but what's bad for him is good for other people. And as you said, Michael Malmgren, #1 qualifier here, and 6.77 on the qualifying run. What's he going to do here? Knowing Michael, he'll be using this as a full-blown test pass to check out that the car is okay. These really are so aerodynamically special, these cars now, and this Pontiac GTO really has a low coefficient of drag, and he runs the quickest time so far, 6.76, 205 miles an hour. He's on fire this weekend.
He certainly is. That gets him a date in the semi-finals with Richard Sundblom from Finland. That should be a great race indeed. The other semi is Mickey Killeen. Should have been racing against Jonas Dantanis, but I know that Jonas had a lot of engine problems. I think he threw a rod
in that. He
did.
Put a rod out the side of the engine, which is never good. And it must be really, really tricky to even contemplate the speed with which these cars are being turned around, changing engines. But here we go. Finland against Sweden. That new cobalt of Nixon, as they like to call him, Richard Sundblom, coming up against the man who is definitely on form here this weekend, Michael Malmgren.
Well, Michael Malmgren has had it all his own way so far. He was a 10th ahead of everybody in qualifying, but Richard Sundblom has on this racetrack, with his old car admittedly, run down into the 660s, so it could be very even. Oh, Richard Sundblom's car, he lets the clutch out and it never really moves off the line. Michael Malmgren with almost a walkover into the final. A nice run for him, another 6.7, 6.78.
He's been so consistent, hasn't he? Been 6.77 he qualified with, got through into the semis with a 6.76, just run a 6.78. And as people will always tell you, consistency in drag racing wins races. But it is so nice to see Mickey Killeen moving into the final. He's got a bye run here.
Well, he has got a bye run. Like we said, Jonas Dantanis had a hell of a year last year with engine problems. They really, really thought they've got it worked out for 2010. Unfortunately, his father-in-law, Krista Gustafsson, who's the crew chief on that car, unfortunately, like you said, you very rarely see a Pro Stock car with any kind of engine problem, let alone throwing a rod. That must have been awful for him. That's why he can't take his place in this semi against Mickey Killeen. So Mickey's got a tune-up run, John.
Yeah, indeed. Now then, they're going to be looking for lane choice here. doesn't get it. Remembering Michael Malmgren ran a 6.78. That gets Malmgren lane choice. Mickey Colleen runs a 6.85 and goes into the final at 203 miles per hour. It's an all-Michael final.
It is. Pick your Michael, Malmgren or Colleen. Both these guys from Sweden, both been around in Pro Stock for a number of years. Michael Malmgren was one of the original Pro Stock runners. Michael Colleen graduated, as we always say, from the Comp Eliminator School of Drag Racing. He was a great racer, won many Scandinavian championships with his cars he used to race in that class. Decided then to move into Pro Stock and found it very tough indeed, I think. Like we said, today, the first round today was only his second ever round win in FIA Pro Stock.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is going to come down to start line reaction between these two. Very evenly matched. They're both running those beautiful, swoopy Pontiac GTO cars. I'll tell you what, seeing them on the racetrack so much, I've never seen a real Pontiac GTO actually on the road. And they must be just built in America, and we don't see very many of them over here.
Well, on that subject, this is actually, in the UK, it's a Holden Monaro. So if you look at that body shape, these
Right.
are actually Holden Monaros in the UK, but obviously so many drag racing vehicles originate from the US, hence the fact we get Pontiac GTO. So next time you see a Monaro, you'll know that it won the FIA main event, because one of them's going to win.
Indeed. Here we go then, up to the start line with these two. Remember, the La Haga car closest, Michael Malmgren. Mickey Colleen in the blue car furthest away. Both Pontiac GTOs. Here we go into pre-stage, and it's Mickey Colleen moves in first. Last one in is usually the one to win. Is that going to be the case here? My goodness me, they're away together. Look at this. But it's Mickey Colleen out in front. Wow, that's close.
That is unbelievably close. Mickey takes it on a hole shot.
Hey, what a great day for the Colleen family. Mickey, #1 in Pro Stock. How good do you feel?
It's fantastic. I'm so pleased, and with my team and everybody that helped me. And yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm almost to cry. So happy I am.
I mean, you took out in the final one of the most experienced drivers in Pro Stock. It's your first ever event win. I can see the tears coming.
Yes, it was a fantastic race with Mickey, and we had good reactions time both, but I had a little bit better. He went a bit faster, but he missed with the 4,000, so I'm very pleased.
Next class up, those huge earth-moving motorcycles. It's the Super Twins.
Well, Super Twin in 2010 is going to be very, very exciting indeed. 15 riders tried to make the cut for the second round of the UEM Championship here at SantaPod Raceway. #1 qualifier was Lo Stobler, followed by Roel Kudam. So we go into round 1, and it's going to be Lawrence Stolber up against Svein Olaf Rolstad is the first pair.
Yeah, indeed. And Lauro was doing so well. 6.65 his qualifying run. I have to tell you, I do laugh at Lo Stolber because he is such a cool dude. And when you watch his runs, it's the most terrifying thing to me. Quite extraordinary. His bike seems to almost try to high side him off of it all the time. So, here we go.
Well, it looks like Svein Olaf Rolstad was out in front for a second there, but Lawrence Stobler powered that Urbacher machine once again. And as you rightly said, John, hanging off the side of it, 6.78 at 207 miles an hour. An 8-second run for Svein Olaf Rolstad. Not what he wanted and not where he wanted to go. The next pair should have been a pair, but bizarrely, Vidar Ravensborg qualified #4, but he was actually shut off on the line. Trond Tibergit, this man here, was in as an alternate for Sture Hegra from Norway as well, but it's Trond racing on through on a bye run, and he moves into the semi-final. 740, 188 miles an hour. Nice number for him.
Okay, next pair then puts the Netherlands against this man. This is Hans Olaf Olstad from Norway, and the man on the Zodiac bike from the Netherlands is Roel Kudam. Now then, Roel was our #2 qualifier here, and Hans Olaf Olstad our #7 qualifier.
Well, Royal Kudam on this very unique machine because it is a supercharged Super Twin. They can run two combinations with these bikes. They can run a much larger injected combination, which is what Hans-Olaf Olstad has, or they can run a smaller capacity engine with a supercharger. That's the way the Zodiac machine is set up.
And it's the first time, of course, the Zodiac machine have run with a supercharger. Their guys have always had the bigger engines. But let's see how we get on here. Royal Kudam setting that number 2 spot with a 6.90 and lays down a 677, 187 miles an hour. Hey, that was an absolutely storming run.
Yeah, low ET of the weekend for him so far as well, and he takes out Olstad.
Last time out, you won, which was absolutely fantastic. The bike suddenly seems to be working well. Why?
Why? Because we solved a lot of small problems that we had before, small bugs that came up every time during the race. So this winter we just concentrated on fixing all these small problems, and it seems to work very fine because it's really running flawlessly.
Now, with the way that the bike is performing, and I watched you race at the last outing, do you think you're in with a good chance of the championship this year? Because this is like a rejuvenated Job Hazen out there. I mean, is that what your aspirations are?
I think there are a few more that have equal chances, but this bike is definitely one of the probably or maybe a championship bike because it's very reliable, which is very important to be a champion.
Well, here he comes then, Job Hazen. Quite bizarrely, Job got hold of me in Hungary at the round number 1 for the UEM Championship, and he said, "Would you please pronounce my name properly? It's not Job Hazen, which I've been calling him for only years."
And so have I, so thank you for that.
But it's Job Hazen, and he should be up against Ismo Mainpar. But Ismo's been shut off on the line, so it is Job on his own. Now, he, of course, took the win in Hungary.
He did indeed, and he's another one of those Zodiac machines as well. This bike purchased from the Zodiac family, if you will. That's the Pelses, and he takes the win with a 674, 208 miles an hour. Really nice tune-up run, if you like, on that buy run. That's his daughter, even wife there as well. A really small, tight-knit crew, and they love their racing, don't they?
Yeah, indeed. So here's our semi-final lineup then, and it's going to be those two Zodiac guys going head-to-head. It's going to be an interesting race for those two. So here we go. This is Lawrence Storbel against
it's Trond Hyberger in the other lane. And well, based on qualifying times and form so far, it should be Lawrence Storbel all the way, but Trond Hyberger normally runs in the low 7-second zone, which is really good if the other guy has a problem or unfortunately loses traction or something like that. That does happen a lot with Super Twin racing. So nudging forward into stage. Let's see if it's a bucking Bronco ride again for Lawrence Storbel.
I bet it will be. Here we go. He gets away second, Lawrence Storbel, but then goes powering by, and it's just about that point the bike says, "I've had enough, I want you off." 6.77 at 211 miles an hour. The Urbacher team moves forward into the final. What a great race between those two. But now it is the turn of the Zodiac machines, and it's all Netherlands, of course. Holland, Roel Kudam against Job Hazen, and here is Job just moving up to the start line. Now remember these two, Daryl. Job was the number 3 qualifier with a 691. Roel was just 1/100th of a second in front of him with a 690 during qualifying.
Well, both these bikes have tremendous potential. Roel's bike at a test event before the start of the season ran down into the 6.5s and was clipped off very early, so he's way quicker than anyone we've seen today on form. But form book goes out the window. This is drag racing, nudging into stage. Two great friends leave the starting line. It looks dead even off of the line. Oh, and Roel has a problem and goes pop, and Job Hazen unfortunately lost a cylinder at the top end, but he still takes the win with a 7.25. Roel Kudam loses out with a 9 flat.
Yeah, indeed. So none of them really running according to the way they would like to run. But that will now set up our final. And it's Lawrence Staubel coming up against Job Hazen. Looking forward to this one. Lawrence didn't do too well in Hungary, but Job certainly did. Job came out the victor in round number 1 of the UEM Championship. Can he repeat that here? Certainly, Low Staubel is running the quicker bike.
At the moment he is, but Job Hazen hasn't been beaten. This is the 3rd final in a row for him. If we count back to last year's European finals, he won that one. He won in Hungary a few weeks ago, so this is his 3rd final in a row. He's unbeaten in almost 12 rounds of racing. So Lawrence Staubel takes his shot at taking out the current guy on a hot streak. That's Job Hazen. It looks like they're away dead even as well. Lawrence Staubel with a wheel in the air all the way down the racetrack takes it by a couple of bike lengths. 660, 215 miles an hour, big speed, and the lose out for Job Hazen there, 6.81. Low is going to be so happy because, of course, that's 2 wins for the Urbacher squad.
I tell you what, that was a great race because you had a man who'd already won 1 round of the UEM Championship in the other lane. He's been on a little bit of a winning streak, Job Hazen, but you beat him.
Yeah, we tried our best to do because we expected to making a very good time for, on his side. So, yeah, and this time it worked for us, and I'm so happy.
Well, Lawrence Staubel, look at the way he cranks that wheel off the starting line all the way out in front of Job, and he takes the win in round 1.
So that's it for our first programme, the first round of the FIA European Drag Racing Championship here at SantaPod, and of course the second round of the UEM Drag Bike Championship.
Yeah, and the crowds here really have seen some fantastic action out on the track, despite difficult circumstances. We've seen Pro Stock car, Pro Stock bike, Super Twins, and of course the heavy hitters, the top fuelers.
Absolutely, and they're going to be all battling it out again very soon in Alastaro in Finland. We'll see you then.